Hello, hello. You're tuning into this week's episode of the Steam Deck Podcast, Flip Screen Games weekly podcast, all about Valve's portable PC powerhouse, the Steam Deck. I'm your host, Stephen Rafford, joined as always by my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Max Wright.
Ahoy, ahoy.
How you doing, Max?
I am good. We've just had a very stressful 10 minutes together, haven't we? Trying to get things set up and
Yeah, so I think I figured out what the issue was. I've moved internet providers, and since then, it's been
have you
wreaking
got a new
havoc.
router?
I've got a new router.
That'll be it then. Your computer's got one IP address, your
And the
your
router's
router's
got another one, and it's
giving
just,
something else
it's
out
all in
and
a tiz. So it wasn't having fun at all. And
no.
so I couldn't connect to it's weirdly the website opened that we record on,
Mhm.
and it just then wouldn't let me connect. And then I could view the show notes, but then some websites wouldn't let it was a whole thing. I don't really understand
If you're a
network.
video watcher, if you're a video watcher of this podcast, rewind 10 seconds and watch the video. That was a different person talking then because Steve didn't have his glasses on, and it took me a second to realize I've never seen that before.
That was Superman, yeah.
That was Superman. That was a completely different
I'm back
man.
to Clark now.
You are. I feel like it was nice for a second to not be identical.
You know what? I like being identical, Max. It's brilliant, you know?
I like
And
I like looking like
unfortunately,
us.
you're gonna be able to grow your hair back out 'cause, you don't suffer with balding unlike me. So you can just grow that out and have your
Maybe
luscious
one
locks
day.
again.
Maybe one day if you upset me, I'll flex on you by having a luscious full head of hair.
That's fine. I think you should do that. But also, it's strange to me that you shaved your head for winter. Most people seem to do that for summer.
I shaved my head in the summer. This isn't a new thing,
And
is it?
it's
We
just, yeah,
shaved
like,
our
I'm gonna
heads.
continue. To be honest, it's perfect for beanie season 'cause your
It
hair's
is,
just
yeah,
not
because
in
I
the
don't have to worry
way.
about hat hair.
Yeah.
I shaved my head in solidarity with you, and I'm gonna keep doing it until I have a
Yeah.
meltdown and decide I look ugly and need my hair back. So
And
sorry,
then
so we look ugly.
yeah.
Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, 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 brilliant. Well, then I'm just gonna continually look ugly. Are you calling our audience with shaved heads ugly? That's not very nice.
No, no, not at all. I think we should move on quite swiftly, actually, if
We
that's
should
okay
move
with
on
you.
to our topic this week, which is a question that came from the Lager embargo, but then also this week some comments from Xbox President Sarah Bond, which has us put like the question of could Valve beat Microsoft to the PC console hybrid for your living room? So the Lager embargo's
Mm.
question was if Valve make a success of SteamOS and the next Steam machine thingy, do you see a future where they start releasing their own branded custom Linux gaming PCs? Because if that happened and the whole anti-cheat thing got resolved somehow, I could see them eventually dominating the market. They could even make them modular so third-party companies could develop upgrades for them. Imagine if one day it's no longer Mac versus PC, but a Mac versus PC versus Steam PC one. That would be pretty cool. I actually
I
think,
like that.
yeah, I like this, but I actually think it's probably going to be a PlayStation versus Steam versus Xbox on the side argument
Yeah.
at this point because the comments from Sarah Bond came from an interview she gave with Mashable this week, and they asked the question about like what's the next gen console going to look like. And she suggested that the next Xbox console will share some of the thinking behind the recently released Asus ROG Xbox Ally Ally X handhelds, and that the next console is rumored to. We know that the next console is rumored to play both Xbox console games and PC games.
Mhm.
And to that, she responded, "Well, I can tell you, you're right. The next gen console is going to be a very premium, very high end, curated experience. You're starting to see some of that thinking we have in this handheld, but I don't want to give it all away." So it seems like they've very much pivoted away from their initial thinking, and I kind of saw this coming. I think a lot of people did. Um, I know they've been talking big about having a new console
Mhm.
and the next gen console, but I don't think it's going to be like anything we've seen before. It's going to be like a PC, and I kind of see it as it's probably going to be like a reference machine in the same way that Nvidia had their reference cards that people
Mhm.
could buy direct from them, or they could go and buy one from another manufacturer. Like, you might get one from Asus, for example. I
Yeah, I
could
was gonna
see them
say.
doing that same approach here, and if they've started the legwork with the Xbox Ally, it probably means the next console is gonna run Windows, but I think it probably will also have some kind of emulation layer in order to play the Xbox games. But what do you think, Max?
I am in agreement with you there. I think it's gonna be, um, interesting to see, and I think we need to sort of see what the trajectory is gonna look like with this and what the thinking is. Very much like she says here, we need to be keeping an eye on this ROG Ally and ROG Ally X, where They said earlier in the year, "Oh, we're gonna sort of like do the best of both worlds, the best of Windows, the
Gonna go
best of
Hannah Montana,
Xbox."
full Hannah
Yeah,
Montana.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. First you rock out the no, hang on. Chilling out, take it slow, then you rock out the show. And the rock out the show is you play your PC stuff. Chilling out, take it slow is you play your Xbox stuff. But right now, I don't think that they've actually done a great job of doing that.
No, they haven't.
Um,
I mean, this is clearly if they were, I think, 100% on board with this
mhm.
idea of the handheld, they'd have made it themselves. They wouldn't have
Yeah.
basically co-branded something with ASUS, take
Mhm.
what was an ASUS product, put some Xbox buttons on it, and allow you to have this Windows skin. That
Yes.
Windows skin's gonna be on every handheld that Windows has going forwards.
Yes. So we can think of this almost as like a beta device where which, it is a complete product, but we can look at this and look at how this evolves over the next year, 18 months, 2 years, however long it takes. And we can see how this sort of like meshing this hybridization, how it actually evolves. Because right now all we've seen is that the Xbox app now lets you look at Steam stuff. It maybe has some controller functionality. It's not the complete change of Windows, the gaming mode that stops running. I mean, the fucking thing has OneDrive and Teams on it.
Oh, yeah, I know,
They
and
haven't
it's an
thought
absolute
about.
shit show when it's like, "Oh, well, I've gotta go into Armoury Crate for some things, and there's an Armoury
Mm,
Crate button that launches those, but there are some other settings that you can sort of control in the Xbox thing."
yeah,
It's not a cohesive experience, which it needs to
yeah.
be if it's gonna be what Xbox console owners expect.
Yes, especially if, the reason that this is probably more usable, uh than, let's say, an Xbox, a PC that you plug in and use a controller on your TV with, is that you have the option of the touchscreen. You can, if you're getting frustrated with the controls or there's a button that's not been mapped properly, you can just default back to, oh, fine, I'll press the thing, I'll type on the screen or whatever. That doesn't work on a screen on like a TV. So if they're planning on following this trend, they need to really show us in the next 18 months, 2 years, that they can turn the Windows experience on these systems into something that is capable of competing with SteamOS. Now, competing not in terms of sales, because Windows is Windows, it's on more devices than SteamOS. So it's going to be, more popular, same way that Android's more popular than iPhone, even though the iPhone is the best selling phone every year. But what they need to be able to compete from is a usability standpoint, is a purely a gaming standpoint. I don't want to be picking up buying my Xbox next gen Xbox console and having to go into the file manager and uninstall OneDrive, uninstall Teams, uninstall all these programs that boot up at start and make the thing slower. Whereas on my Steam Deck, it boots, the logo comes up, and I'm straight in and I'm playing my games. And PCs, famously, you boot it up, you give it a couple of seconds, you just okay, it's waking up, it's thinking about it, it's loading all the programs. You have to go in and manually stop those from coming on. Um, and yeah, you can use it pretty quickly, but you probably couldn't in the same time you could turn on your Steam Deck and boot up a game. You probably couldn't turn on your PC from scratch and get into that. Especially considering with PCs you have the whole here's the manufacturer logo, here's the bit where I have time to get into the
Yeah.
BIOS, here's my login screen, and a login screen is something else as well. Like, sure, they've made it quicker with like touch fingerprint readers
Well, they
and
did
like
do
pins
some
and
of the
stuff.
work there to, like, map it to the buttons in the same way that you
Hmm.
get on the Steam Deck's, lock screen, but I think most people just wanna bypass that and get
Yeah,
straight to who's playing and, like, have
yeah.
the I mean, they've got the Xbox OS, I don't know why they didn't just look at that and go, "That's what we want, that's the
Yeah.
experience that we want." Have the
It's
home
because
screen,
it's because
fully integrated store, but then also bring in stores like Steam because I think that's what people
Mhm,
clearly want. And it wouldn't be the first time that we saw Steam on a console. I mean, I remember people installing it when they could install Linux back on the PS3,
mhm,
and like it's not unheard of. And I think I think this has got to be the approach that they're taking. That there's no way that they can come back from a hard third place in the console wars and even consider because Game Pass is clearly not selling consoles. It hasn't been for a long time.
yeah.
People aren't buying Xboxes.
It's funny the way they've changed like, this week, I think it might have been the same interview where she said, "Oh, the idea of an exclusive is outdated," and it's like, "Well, yeah, because your exclusives, you're, 'cause it's not working for you. You're because now you've decided, actually, we need to start making money elsewhere because people are either having Game Pass, sorry, buying Game Pass to avoid having to buy full price games. We have to put our games on PlayStation so that they, you know, sell better." Um For them to then come out and say, "Oh, well, we only did that because, the exclusives are outdated anyway." No, they're not, because they work perfectly fine for Nintendo and PlayStation. People buy their PlayStations and they buy their, um, uh, you know, uh, Nintendo Switches to play the exclusive games. People aren't buying the Xbox for the exclusive games. They're buying the Xbox for access to Game Pass. And if you have another option like a PC, or even just waiting a couple of months and getting the Xbox exclusives on your PS5, then of course you're not going to buy an Xbox.
Yeah, I know it's actually crazy, and I mean, and this also comes alongside the news that Jason Schreier broke today over on Bloomberg that a lot of the layoffs, the cancelled projects we've seen has come from top down, where Microsoft's management is pushing for a goal of 30% profit margins for the Xbox division. And that's just impossible, really. I mean, we
Mm,
see that the average profit margin, according to S&P Global Market Intelligence, is between 17 and 22%. I can, there's incentives to have in your own console, which is you've got a store in front of people and you're selling games. If Steam's on that console, why am I not picking that one?
yeah,
Like, there's gotta be a reason why, and I just don't know what the reason is other than, "Oh, well, I'm maybe gonna subscribe to Game Pass because I can get the games that I want there," but that's gone up in price. Now that's we spoke about that a few weeks ago. That's $360 a year now, and if this is a very high-end curated experience, very premium, as Sarah Bond says, that says to me it's probably a $1,000 console because 'cause they're
mhm.
looking at the Xbox Ally X is $1,000 for the one that you want, the X, the more powerful one. So, what do we think Valve's approach to this is going to be if they do it? Because it sounds like this is everything we've been asking from Valve, right? We want that living room box that runs SteamOS that you can use with a Steam controller that's paired to it, or an Xbox controller, or a DualShock, whatever you may want to use.
Dual
Um,
sense.
Dual. I might use my DualShock 3. I can
Yeah, no,
connect
because
that.
it's already fallen apart, mate. There's absolutely no way you still have a dual shock that works.
I'm surprised I have a dual sensor that works. Those things
Yeah.
drift like crazy, apparently.
Yeah, I've got one
Um,
here that I don't touch out of fear.
but do you think that this is something that Valve would even consider? Do they want to get into this space?
We've seen them attempt it in the past, and the issue there wasn't that the idea was wrong or that people don't necessarily want it. The issue is they maybe just hadn't nailed the software side of it just yet,
Well,
or they
you that
hadn't
the big
nailed the
problem with that was it didn't have Proton, right? And or
Mm,
Proton at launch, I think launched a couple of years after, and even then, it's taken a long time to get in its stride and really give compatibility to like 90% of games that people want to play.
yeah. Now I think is the perfect time for that. We say it all the time about having like a whether it's something you build yourself and you used to be able to use Bazzite, but now you can just run SteamOS. They on the website they say, "You wanna try it? You wanna test it out and report back? Go ahead. Here's how you do it." So, we know that that is something that you can do and that works. And I guess there's, obviously there's gonna be issues with or there's gonna be compatibility questions and things like that, but, they've put it on other handhelds. You can put it on a PC. It's something that already works. I think Valve just needs to decide they want to do it and I guess reach a point where they think it's going to be beneficial. Um, do you think? Do you think the market is out there, and do you think that maybe if Microsoft, I feel like I'm asking your question back to you now, but do you think that if Microsoft is planning on going this way, that Valve is gonna be like, well, we can just do that right now. Like we've already got what was um the console like PC decade brain that we were talking about a few months back
No,
where
The Steam
it's
frame. No,
not the
that
Steam
was that's the
frame.
trademark, but I still think it could be that, you
Could
know?
be that. It could be that. I mean, so I had this in to talk about later, but I'll bring it up right now. November 2023, we had the Steam Deck OLED revealed and released. November 2024, Steam Deck White revealed, released. Never seen one of those in the flesh, by the way. Never. November 2025, i.e., in a week's time, or the next 4 weeks after that, what do we see from Valve to keep getting money from us who already own Steam Decks? Maybe we're on our second one or whatever. Do you think we see the Steam frame? Do you think we see, like, this sort of thing, like
I think no, see, I think this year is the VR thing. All
yeah?
signs are pointing to VR, sadly, and it's a shame because I think that's the more niche product. Unfortunately, I do think that
Mm.
there would be a lot of success with a console, but they might be partnering up with Microsoft behind the scenes to get Steam in front of more eyes, and that might be the more lucrative thing for them. Like, let's just hop on the Xbox bandwagon while it's
Sure.
still going. God knows how long it's going to go for at this rate, but I do think there's legs with that idea, and I do think it's something that Valve clearly has explored in the past. We did see that machine from that one that Bringer Studios had got on YouTube, um, and had somehow that had Windows installed on it. But I would love to see a version of that machine now. I don't know that they go down the very premium, very high end experience. I think they are wanting to get more and more people into PC gaming. And I think there's a nice balance because you don't have to get a screen, you don't have to get a battery, you don't have to compromise on power in ways that you do on a handheld in a box. I think
Mhm.
they could probably make something decent for $700, 699.
Yeah, I mean, I there's an example I link in the it's a Reddit post from 6 days ago, this week, funnily enough, where the comment says here, I don't get why there are people buying Steam Decks to be always docked living room consoles, like Pete did with his original LCD deck, when you can get a mini PC and then it's a this PC has a Ryzen 7 7840HS. It's like a little mini NUC NUC whatever PC, which they claim has twice the performance of the Steam Deck and costs less than a 512 gigabyte OLED model. I have actually found listings on AliExpress for this PC for 350. There's one on Amazon that's like the last one you can buy for 250, whatever. This is pounds. So they are cheaper, um, or they are affordable, rather, I should say. And if they do actually have double the power of the the Steam Deck, because um, it doesn't need to have like you say, a battery in it and all these things. If it can be smaller and have good cooling and all the stuff
And
that it
bring
needs
your
to
own
do while being
controller,
tiny,
you've probably already
exactly.
got a controller, but if you want one, here's the Steam controller too that can go
Yeah,
alongside it.
yeah. So I can't remember how I got to this point now, but the fact that you could get that for and it's already more powerful for $300 or $400, who's to say that Valve can't create something that's even more powerful than that to actually not just compete with themselves and compete with something that's, oh, it's more powerful than the Steam Deck and you can play sort of older games or indie games and things like that. What if it can play the stuff that the Steam Deck can't play right now? And that's your USP there of like, hey, it's not quite a PC, but it's also not a Steam Deck in that you can play. Can't think of a game like Clair Obscure at a more acceptable frame rate. And maybe they also go in on Steam streaming with that as well and say, hey, you've already got your Steam Deck. Well, here's your Steam Deck brains.
Mm.
Here's your Steam frame. Here we go. That you connect your deck to. That's the brains of the organization, and you can stream these games in your house. So you can play these games on your Steam Deck using our system, and it costs $500, let's say, just based on the price of these other things.
I mean, I think it's a winner. I mean, clearly there's a market for it, people are doing it. I
Yeah.
don't know, but, I don't know how big the market is compared to what Microsoft's chasing, right?
Yeah.
Are Microsoft expecting their next console that they're gonna make to sell as many as they want, like the 100,000,000? Because that's gotta be what they're chasing, right? They wanna sell as many of these consoles as possible. Even if it's tens of million, 50,000,000, I don't think that's where they're going anymore. I think where they're going now is reference hardware, but this is
Mhm.
the experience that anyone can make, and if you wanna install it on your own PC and build your own PC for the living room, you can do that. If you wanna install it on one of these little boxes that you wanna get from AliExpress, you can do that. But why would I do that when SteamOS exists? I really
Yeah.
do agree with the Lago embargo that this, like, I think the big caveat here at the moment is the whole anti-cheat thing. If that can't get
Mm.
resolved, if they can't get something like BattlEye to work and I can't play all the games I wanna play, if GTA 6 launches and I can't play it on Linux,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a big issue.
Call of Duty is every year, no matter what you might think of it quality wise, every year it's a banger. It's a big hit. People want to play it. The Steam Deck communities that I have been a part of and that I dip in and out of, every year it is, oh, I want to play this on my Steam Deck and I can't, so I bought an Ally, or I've installed Windows on my Steam Deck and now I'm just so I can play Call of Duty. Like it's big enough that people want to do it, big enough people make the decision between the Steam Deck and something else alongside it. If they can just nail that anti cheat, I think that's a big because all you need to do is then see one like YouTube reel or a TikTok of a big Call of Duty influencer playing the game on their Steam Deck, and people will be like, "Oh, well, hello, what's this thing I can play Call of
Mm.
Duty in my hands?" And but granted, you need good internet, but imagine like the Warzone experience in the palm of your hand is such a big selling point for so many people. You could sell so many of them. Not that I think it's holding him back that much, but it is clearly there is a portion of the
There's a
market that
market
wants to
for
play
it.
these
Like,
games.
I
Yeah.
remember Genshin Impact was a big reason why people wouldn't get a Steam Deck as
Mm.
well, and, I get it. If that's your game and that's the one you wanna play and you can't play it
Did that
on
ever come?
you can now download it and sideload it, but it's not available through Steam, you can't.
Because they didn't they have that on
They had it
a
on a show where,
yeah,
in Tokyo.
like
I think it was
Tokyo
at the
Game
Tokyo
Show or
Game
something.
Show,
That was
yeah.
like I wasn't in this space when that happened. That was like 3 years ago nearly.
Yeah, it
2
was
years.
really weird. It's net but, I feel like that is also a game that's a lot of people have moved on from. It's not the new hotness anymore like it
Yeah.
was.
That's
So,
Honkai Star Rail is the new one or
Honky
something like
Star Rail, oh god.
Honkai.
Um, but, you've got in the notes here, Logo Embargo makes a good point. SteamOS has done a good job of introducing the masses
Mhm.
to Linux. I think the majority of people who are like, say, someone like my dad who'd never really been into PC game. Well, he was into PC gaming, but the reason my dad got into console gaming was he wanted to play Tomb Raider 2, and his PC wasn't powerful enough, so he bought a PlayStation so he could play Tomb Raider 2.
And then that was
And
it,
then
was
that
it?
was
That was
it.
the
After
trajectory.
that, never looked back, always a console gamer.
Yeah.
It just
Surprised you
makes
turned out the way you did, Steve, to be honest.
it's what's that supposed to mean?
It's supposed to mean that you've done very well with with your dad being a console peasant his whole life.
Oh, okay.
Your whole life, I should say. And now look at you. You're a technological mastermind, you are.
Yeah, well, I get a lot from my dad. He's busy at the moment, playing Power Wash Simulator 2. So if you paused
Wow.
that to watch this, Dad, hi,
Hello.
and thanks for giving Mum a break from watching you play Power Wash Simulator 2, because I'm sure she's very much appreciated you playing that forever.
What's your dad's hair like?
My dad's hair is better than
Yeah.
mine. He's
Is
got
it?
better hair, like better hair than me.
Has he buzzed it?
He's buzzed it for a very long time. Yeah, it's
Okay.
like it's a number 3 all
Number
over.
3,
Number 3, so
okay.
it's quite long.
Yeah. He's in the
Um,
millimeters then, not the inches.
yeah, in the millimeters.
That's where you get it from. Um,
Wow.
I the the point I couldn't, sorry. The point I was, making here as well is that, and then I think you said it earlier about how you have your sort of your reference machine and, Windows will have its, like, here's a PC, and I guess you could say
Surface
I've
line is that.
Surface, that's exactly
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say, yeah, the Surface is like, this is,
It's like the Google Pixel of the PC
exactly,
space.
yes. And, Mac and Apple obviously are designed like that. Linux doesn't really have that. However, the people that I know that have bought, so I've never touched Linux, maybe a little bit on a Raspberry Pi to get a media server running a few years ago, and then eventually I gave up and went to Windows for that just because I knew what I was doing and I could RDS and for my computer and blah blah blah. Then all the people that I know that have got Steam Decks, it's also their first introduction to Linux, and for some of them, they don't use computers at all. So they're buying this console, and then you show them desktop mode, and they're like, "Oh, so it's like a PC?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you just, you know, maybe they don't use computers as much as you or I do, or people listening to this do. They might use it at work to do stuff."
Yeah.
Um, and then they get into it and they understand that, oh, it's not as scary and daunting as it is, as it could be, but also this might be their first experience into Steam in general, and they've just seen me doing it, or they've heard this thing exists, and they're like, "Oh, it's like a Switch, but it plays more than the Switch." And
There's
um,
so many more games on there as well. Like, I know my
mhm,
dad got into, like, the escape room games. Like, he played Escape Room Simulator and then downloaded loads of them that were only available on Steam because there's so many of these smaller niche games that
yeah,
you wouldn't get on a console because they just wouldn't have the grand market share there, that it costs so much money to get a dev console to go through that approval process,
mhm,
that just the barrier to entry is so much easier on Steam. You can just make the game
yeah,
on the computer you're running the game on, and then upload it to Steam, and people can buy it.
yeah. And I also think this is a good chance because of that to pivot, or to sort of create this link in people's mind that uh, gaming PCs run Linux, or that, this is a gaming OS.
It doesn't have to be Windows, yeah.
Yeah,
I do
this is a
think a lot of
gaming
people
OS.
think
This isn't a
when people think PC, I think they think Windows, and then they go,
yeah.
"Oh, but also like MacBook. Like, I can get a MacBook."
Yeah, well, the whole this is a Mac or I'm a Mac, I'm a PC. It was I'm a PC. I do spreadsheets. I do work. I'm a Mac. I do creative stuff. I do design. I do video editing. I blah 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 blah. You then have the third. Hey, I'm a Linux PC. I play games. I do this really well. I run. I don't have all this overhead. Blah blah. Or whatever you want to say. But you could very much position SteamOS or Linux in general as this is a light free OS that runs your games better than Windows does. Um, and you're trying to game on a Mac, are you? You're a moron. No offense to any Mac gamers.
There aren't
Running a
any.
PC, are you?
There's like
Make sure
4
you
games you can run on Mac Silicon now. Like, there's
yeah.
no way to run
Didn't they
games really.
just have they not just like re-added like some of the games, like Resident Evil games to Mac with
The Resident
the
Evil games are,
yeah.
yeah, but basically, Apple introduced this, like, their version of Proton, so
Mhm.
developers can just run their exe file through that, and it will spit out a Mac version on the other side, pretty much.
Sounds gross.
But no one's really playing games on a Mac. Like, they're just not
Yeah.
designed for it, and that's fine because,
That's your advert right there.
I think a great advert for it is the Lenovo Legion Go S. Like, we
Yeah.
saw that the SteamOS version outperformed the Windows version on the exact same hardware.
Mhm.
Like, there's no reason that should happen because the games are natively built for Windows. If anything, what is that?
This is my PC I built for, um,
Oh, for me as
testing
a
out bad
gift.
side. Yeah, there you go,
Oh,
congrats.
thank you.
It's not great. This cost me £200 in, like, spare parts and, like, Facebook Marketplace stuff, but this was my
Where's
gonna
the
test
video on
out
this, Max?
what do you mean?
Well, we have never spoken about the fact that you built a PC to
Have
test
we not?
Parasite on.
Have
No,
we
we
never
haven't.
discussed this? Maybe I discussed it with Pete. I didn't get very far with it. Basil and I didn't get on very well, I'll be honest with you.
Get SteamOS on there.
SteamOS, that's my plan. Doing the research for this has made me think I'm gonna try and put SteamOS on this.
Do it.
It's
It
not the most
looks like an
powerful thing in the world.
amplifier.
It does, doesn't it? It's nice and little. You can see the graphics card in there if you're watching the video. I want to test this more because I then wanna pop Windows on it and do the exact same games and do my own tests for these sorts of things.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Um,
I'd love to see it because there's genuinely no reason why it should run better on SteamOS than on Windows. If anything, you would expect it to run worse because it's running through a transpilation layer,
yeah.
but it
I think
doesn't.
it's
It
just
runs
there's no
better.
it's because it's got less
Is it
overhead.
just
I
because it's
just
not running fucking OneDrive in the
yeah,
background and
exactly.
the stupid bloody antivirus thing that's constantly Windows Defender that's
Windows Defender.
constantly running,
Now, I
and
will defend Windows
Copilot.
Defender.
Nobody wants
Copilot,
Copilot.
who the fuck wants Copilot? I will defend Windows Defender though, because it is people who buy Avast, people who buy uh, Norton, people who buy McAfee, are being scammed by things that are worse than what they're currently getting. I'm
That
looking
is
at
very
my
true. I agree with
running
that. But
services and it's
also, like,
crazy.
I've never once ever installed antivirus on a Mac. I've never once installed antivirus on a Linux PC.
No, no, well, yeah, because like why would you? Why would you? Do they
The
have
fact that
viruses on Linux?
they've got to have this defense layer
Mm.
for God
Yeah,
knows what. There's
probably
just so
because
many
yeah, it's
holes. It's
so
like Swiss
yeah.
cheese. It's like software made of Swiss cheese.
I like that. I like that phrase.
But I think this is a great question, Lago
I think it's
Embargo.
a
I
great
think we
question.
both would love this. I have been thinking about building a PC, but I just don't have
Steve, let's do it.
don't have the funds.
Okay,
2,
let's not.
don't have the
Yeah.
time. 3, I don't know what I'd play on it
Steve,
because
if you
like
get the
most of the
funds,
games I can play,
mm,
I play on my Steam Deck because
yeah.
I'm not one who chases the latest and greatest hotness of graphics. I'm just not that person.
Why are you saying that? You're saying that in a way that you're like being smug about it. Like you have, oh yeah, I could if I wanted to. I could play the latest and greatest. You can't. You don't have the time or the effort or
No,
the
I
want
don't,
or the
but I
need.
could play them on a
You're
console.
you
I
could
have an Xbox and I have a PlayStation 5. I just
sell them both, and we'll build you a PC.
that's tempting, but who's gonna buy an
Mm.
Xbox in 2025?
Someone whose child doesn't have a clue what they're doing. Abuse the clueless, Steve.
A
Abuse
blues.
the clueless. Abuse. Oh yeah, good retort. Good retort, Steve, to me.
A Blues Clues.
We just gotta learn. Actually, we could actually go into the Steam Docket with that, but I'm not gonna. Well, let's do it. Do you want to go into the
Yep.
Steam Docket?
We should, because Shidafu wants to get an update on your click holding session. I
Yeah.
am also curious as to how that went. How was the chair?
The chair was, comfortable. Click holding was a weird game, man. I can't remember what I spoke about on this show. I can't remember if I just said I'm gonna play it or if I said,
You're like, "I'm gonna
um
play it with Cat and
yeah,
another strange man that's coming over to my house, and we're gonna
yeah. And then he's got a strange man that's gonna watch him, and then it's just like
This goes on
a
and on forever."
never-ending spiral of men watching each other. Um, it was a bizarre experience that I'm not sure was necessarily worth the effort that went into it, but I did appreciate how uncomfortable it made me feel. But I think it's one of those things that, like, the idea of it was was better than probably much like real cuckolding. The idea of it was better than the experience. I
You just got
think
too jealous, that's what it was.
yeah, that was it. Yeah, I suddenly had what's it called? Post-nut clarity, but like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I had pre-nut clarity and hated what I was doing. Was like, "No, please leave." No, it was weird. It was fun. It was bizarre. It was yeah, made me feel uncomfortable. I just think I wish there was a little bit more to it than what there was. But what am I? It's a £2.50 45-minute experience. We had fun. It was something to talk about. I enjoyed it. I spoke. It came up during my. I had a therapy session this week, and I said, "Oh yeah,
Wow.
we did a together. We decided to do this experience." And I was like trying to explain this game to my therapist. And I opened it up with like, you know what cuckolding is, and then started explaining cuckolding and
Oh,
explained
good
the whole game
lord.
and what it all is. And I was just like,
And at
so
that point, she was like, "Oh, and I think the session's now over."
yeah, no, because at the end of when I described, oh yeah, it's just a weird man in a chair and he's rubbing his thing, and you click and he makes you go around the room, and it gets weirder and weirder and weirder, and you start asking yourself questions. At the end of it, the therapist said, "And this was a sexual experience for you?" And I said, "No, you've not been listening at all. This was a horror-ish game. Like, no, 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 no. This if you've been reading what I've been saying with any kind of sexual intent, I'm sorry. It's probably because I was rubbing my own arms on the chair, and if you have 45 minutes and you want to play something weird, try click holding. Turn the lights off, dark room, sound up loud, feel uncomfortable for 45 minutes. Treat yourself.
I'm gonna do one better. I'm gonna turn the lights off. I'm gonna go into the back rooms with the fake ceiling.
Yeah.
It's gonna be super spooky, and I'm gonna get
Mm.
someone to, like, dangle things from the ceiling and
I
really freak
forget that
me
this
out.
is just a set that you're in now, and there's actually like a big empty warehouse
This
behind
is a
that.
whole green screen.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
just make it look
You're
like I've not
outside.
put my clothes
You're
away.
right there.
Yeah, hi.
Hello. So that was click holding. Thank you for mentioning it or bringing it up, should you feel asking, because I would never have spoke about it again. Apart from obviously in my therapy session. So
I did
yeah.
enjoy the game that you've written down here, Max, but I'm not gonna talk about it because, I don't think anyone
I
needs to
just,
hear
I,
about Super Dick and Balls 2 Super Turbo Erect
I just,
edition that
I
you
just
put
had
in
a.
there.
I was just guessing about what you might have played this week. I thought, what does he usually like to play? Probably going to be that again. No, I just wanted a placeholder, and my instant reaction was Super Dick and Balls, and I
I'm
thought you played
imagining,
Super Dick
like,
and Balls.
monkey balls, but it's like a giant penis that you're rolling around a map
Yeah,
instead of a
yeah.
monkey in a gacha ball.
I think sometimes I understand why Steve gets frustrated. Sorry, why Pete gets frustrated with this. Um,
I do too.
but I also don't care enough
And
to
maybe,
not do it.
I wonder if the listeners get frustrated. They're probably gonna be like, "Bring Pete back already, please, come on."
Yeah.
I can't stand any more of
I
these
miss I miss
English
Pete.
losers.
So all the English people are going, "Yeah, I know what they're talking about," and all the Americans are going, "Yeah, bring back Pete." What about, like, I guess there's oh, I was just about to say there's nothing between America and England, and then forgot about if you go the other way, and you've got, like, every other
Quite
country.
a lot that way.
Quite a lot, isn't there, that way?
There are also other countries between us and America along that way. Depends if you
What,
go
the oth
north, like, if you go super north,
Oh, I'm talking, like,
like,
as the
straight across,
yeah,
off
as the equator.
to Philadelphia.
Yeah, if you're going adjacent or perpendicular to the equator, I think that's the word I'm looking for. I don't know geography enough. Should we talk about the
I don't
game?
know geography, and I went to see Map Men this week, so how does that work?
Map men.
Yeah,
What did they talk about?
their new book. It was great, got signed a
Yeah?
copy. So that, and
Nice.
also, did you know, Jay, do you watch Map Men, right?
I have seen some map men.
Do you know his brother's Beardy Man?
Beardy man. What, as in, like
Beatboxer Man.
oh, no, I don't know that.
Yeah, bizarre. Found that out. Found that out. Blew my mind.
While talking about YouTube brothers, I
Talk about
was
us.
so for us, yeah, yeah. Me and Kat watch Sorted Food, there's a British food
Mm,
channel, and there's a guy on that called Ben Eberall who is like the chef,
the
the
fruity
the main
chef, yeah.
chef. and we watch it and we say, "He looks like our son. If we had a son and he grew up, he would look like Ben Eberl."
I could
That's what
see it.
we've
It's the
always you can see
glasses
that.
as well.
It's the glasses, he's got, like, the sort of the
Yeah.
brown eyes that Cat has, and he's sort of got our facial features, and he's just like a sweet young we're like, "Oh, it's our son." And we've had that going for a little while. I was at a barbecue a couple of years ago now for a friend's birthday, and there was another couple there I'd not met, and, chatted to them very, very briefly, and then we left. And then I was talking to the person whose barbecue it was, and they said, "Oh, yeah, yeah, he's his brother's a YouTuber." And I was like, "Who's that?" And she said, "Oh, he's on like he's this guy called Ben who's on this channel called Sorted Food." And I was like, "You mean I was sat with this person who is the brother of Ben
Your
Eberl, and I
brother's bro
didn't my
your
son's
son's
brother,
brother.
and I didn't have a chance to go up to him after a few drinks and go, 'Do you know your brother, right? I think he's my son.'" And what? Because that's a perfect opportunity for an icebreaker, right?
That is, and when if you ever see him again, you have to go up and be like, "Get your
Yeah,
brother on the phone now.
yeah. Get him
FaceTime
up,
him."
yeah. Can you also give me a sample of his DNA so I can run a quick test? That's what I'd
Oh my
ask.
god, imagine. Can you imagine?
Imagine, imagine.
What else have you been playing,
Oh,
Max?
yeah, yeah, games. So, I actually have played quite a lot this week, and by quite a lot, I mean 2 games, but a lot of those 2 games. Did I ever speak about Nine Souls on the show before, Steve?
It rings a bell, but remind me.
So, I'm pretty sure I played it during one of the Steam Next Fests last year, and then when the game came out, I then bought it immediately, played up to the exact point where the demo ends at Steam Next Fest, and then
Never
didn't
played it
play it
again.
again. Didn't play it
You know
again.
what? I always hate it when that happens. Why can't you bring over the save?
That wasn't necessarily the issue, but you're right. It was like quite a long, slow intro. I think I got to that and was just like, okay, that's where I got to last time, so I'm going to pause there. And then
That's
because
what's
last
happened
year,
with me and
loads
Hollow
of
Knight
things came
every
out.
time.
Yeah, you just get to a point where, and it's happened with me with Horizon Zero Dawn. It's happened to me with The Witcher, where you get to the same point, and I go, okay, I'm going to pause it here because it feels like a natural pausing point.
Mm.
Which is probably why the demo ends there because it's like, yeah, this is the good point to end, and then I don't go back to it. Now, this time I, finished Silksong, finished Hades, and I was like, what is like another indie banger that I already own that I keep meaning to go and play? And I thought, Nine Souls. Let me go back to that. I'm an idiot, Steve. It's amazing. It's incredible. It's like you get past that little bit, and I don't think it was. I don't never thought it was bad before. I just didn't push myself. And if I'd have just that meme where the guy's like digging and he's like just moments away from the diamonds and he's giving
Yeah,
up
yeah.
and yeah, you're always like, one accumulator away from your £1,000,000 winner at the bookies or whatever. This was I finally dug through and I found diamonds because this game is like it's a Metrovania. It's sort of like heavy on the
Is
parries
it?
like
That doesn't
Sekiro.
sound
I
like a
know.
game you'd play.
Whoa. Heavy on the parries like Sekiro. So it's sort of like a 2D Sekiro style thing where you're like, whereas in Dark Souls you're dodging, or in like Hollow Knight you might be dodging. In this, it's very much parry at the right time, and every time you parry, you get a some chi, and then you by pressing the right bumper, you sort of like do a dash, and you drop a talisman on the enemy. And if you keep holding the right bumper, you charge that with the chi that you've accumulated from the parries, and you do an explosion. And that explosion does a little bit of damage, but it also any amount of damage that you've given. It's called like internal damage. So you like as you're parrying and attacking, you're doing like normal damage and a little bit of extra internal damage. It does that it just wipes that off the board. So you can do like big chunks, sort of like in
Mm.
Sekiro, how when you sort of whistle them down enough and their stamina, you can do like a finishing move that kills them in one hit or takes away one of their lives. Um,
And it
and
feels
it
good doing that? Like, what are the controls
feels
like
good.
for that?
Yeah, feels tight, feels responsive, feels like it's quite fast paced in the combat. But then sort of there's platforming and there's um, puzzles to solve and there's sort of challenging things to do and there's things to collect and there's lovely stories going on. There's like NPCs that have their own stories going on, and they're all satisfying. There's a few games I've played this year. Hades 2 for one, where I think you spend a lot of time and effort on these side stories and they don't really amount to much. Whereas every one of these felt like it had like a good ending, and the art style is incredible. It's a gorgeous game. I just thought it was truly fantastic, and it was sort of like a big enough game where I felt like I was getting my time and money, having enough time to enjoy it. But then it was also small enough that I could sort of do it in a week and a half. Might have even just been a week. Um, and just had a lovely time. And I did everything 100% sticks. I didn't really want it to end. Um, I'm pretty sure Andrew Valentine played this last year. And I know that my friends Lewis and Ben also played this year, I think.
Mm.
But I regret not playing it last year because I would have then been able to speak about it in the big game of the year we did last year. It probably would have sat quite high.
It looks
Um,
very Spiritfarer in art style to me.
Spiritfarer, yeah, I can see that sort of hand drawny. This is very clever how like it all looks hand drawn, but a lot of it's quite 3D. And I think the way that they use like the parallax and 3D sort of elements in the background and stuff, it's very well done. And the art style, that like, the cutscenes are often told in like comic book manga style, where it's like black and white, hand drawn, like manga style, like
Mm.
panels that you sort of go through with the text that appears. There's also normal sort of cutscenes with talking heads. Um, it's just a very stylish, well done, well put together. Like there's no like, oh, it's good, but it's just good. And I feel like it doesn't sacrifice anything. I'm pretty sure it goes on sale quite a lot now. Um, let's find out quickly.
It's not on
Yeah, it
sale
goes on
currently,
sale. Not
but
current, no, but it was on sale during
yeah,
the autumn sale. It's 50% off, so it goes down to £12.49.
I'll keep
Convert
an
that
eye
how
out
you
for it at
want.
the Christmas sale then, sorry, the winter
Yeah.
sale.
Yeah, I think that anyone who, has, aligned with me in the past on the games that I've played, or maybe last year when I was talking, like, about games like Ultros, um, and Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown and games like that, and maybe you enjoyed that and you haven't played Nine Souls, I think you will
Mhm.
like it. Um, and yeah, I just wish that I'd had more of a chance to shout about it last year. I just didn't play it. So, um, and have we got time for me to talk about one last game just quickly?
Oh,
Not played too
go on
much of it.
then,
Go
yeah.
on, fine. So I've been playing Metroid Prime 3 the last couple of days just because I know that Prime 4 marketing is heating up, and I waited so long for this game, and I thought I haven't played Prime 3 in a while because it's not been as accessible to me as it was when I had my Wii U set up and all that stuff. And I thought, okay, I'll play it on Prime Hacks. I've dabbled in it before. Um,
Prime Hacks
I'm
is brilliant, like,
Prime
genuinely
Hacks is
brilliant.
so good, and I'm now finding that the Steam Deck is capable of pushing it further than I thought. So the ways I've played, and the reason I wanted to bring it up is because I have played it in my hands, as you would expect. Um, there's a few little issues where, like, because Prime 3 is very much pointer based, that sometimes the orientation can be a little bit off, or
Mhm.
some of the implementation stuff is a bit odd. But that's just because you're trying to convert the very pointer heavy controls to the Steam Deck. But then I was at work today on my lunch break, and I thought, let me just
I'm gonna play it with
plug
my
it.
feet. Yeah. Did it in my hands, sometimes do it with my feet.
You'd love to see that, Steve. You'd love to see that.
Think we all
Um,
would, Max, come on.
yeah, it would be impressive. But I plugged. I've got a HDMI in one end that ends in a USB-C at the other end at work, and I just popped my um, plugged that into my Steam Deck and then played it at 1080p. Absolutely fine, no issues. I got home and I had a little bit of time between Cat getting back and me, or before I had to start dinner. I thought, you know what, I'm going to plug it in and set it to 4K, and I'll see if it actually performs. And it ran perfectly. So it felt in a way almost like a remaster, because on the handheld it's very obviously 720p. There's still some jagged edges. When it's running at 4K on a nice big screen, it looks incredible. The textures aren't have been upscaled, or they are custom textures. But it's so impressive that it's still running at 60 FPS. Not granted, it's a where are we now? It's almost a 20-year-old game. It's like 17, 18 years old at this point. Um, but like how it's a little handheld device. It doesn't seem like, obviously it's not going to happen before Prime 4 comes up. It doesn't seem like we're going to be getting ports or remasters or anything of Prime 2 and Prime 3 on the Switch or
Like,
the Switch
why?
2.
Like, come on, it's honestly preposterous.
Do you remember when in the very first year of Loot Pots, you had Liam Robertson on your on the podcast,
I
and
do.
you asked him for me what's happening with Metroid, because it's been spoken about many, many times. The Switch has been out for a year and a bit, and he said something like, "Oh, either Metroid Prime or Metroid Prime Trilogy is done. They're just sitting on it. They're just sitting on it for now." And then what? 2 years ago, it finally comes out as Prime Remastered. Um, so in my head, oh, obviously they're going to be
I think a
they're
lot of that shifted though because Retro then took over Metroid Prime 4.
yeah,
They
that is
probably
true.
then like shifted and changed the way the approach they took. Like the
Mhm,
original remaster might have just been like, oh, we'll do the upscale thing. We'll re-release it like we did with Mario Galaxy, and that'll do.
mhm.
Whereas I think they went kind of a bit to town with Metroid Prime to the point where a
Oh,
lot
they
of
really
people
did,
saw it
yeah.
as a remake rather than a remaster.
Oh, yeah, because like, the thing with Metroid Prime is that it's so holds up from a gameplay and, there's things that that game does that were impressive at the time, things like raindrops and just, like, little things that you don't think about in games that give you sort of, more immersion. That all held up so well that all you needed to do was give it a fresh coat of paint and,
Yeah,
give it some extra lighting and some fancy visuals and stuff that, um the only thing that feels a bit stilted are some of the animations and the cutscenes and stuff like that, because it's still the technology from 2002 to running stuff like that. But the game holds up so well that you only need to do that, and that's why for Prime 3 and especially, with Prime Hacks, you can play these games on your Steam Deck, and the only thing that ages them is the visuals. Um, and the only
which is a
thing
shame because some games are timeless. Like I play Wind Waker
Yeah.
and I upscale that and I install 4K textures on it, and
Mhm.
that looks phenomenal because the
Absolutely, it
art
does.
style on it was just incredible. It wasn't seeking realism, and it's those
Mhm.
games that were seeking realism from that generation. You just look a bit muddy. Like I look at
Yep.
anything on the PS3 and I'm just like,
Yeah, I can't think
ugh,
of a single PS3 game that has aged well, and I also can't think of many PS3 remasters that haven't had to have, like, a shift in their art style to or even, like, sequels and stuff, like, you think about Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2, the complete difference in color schemes and style between those 2 games is like, one is just brown and gray, and the other one is, like, blue and, bright and colorful, and I think it speaks a lot to, I think the effect GTA has on stuff is so it's
sad.
great. Yeah, it is, like, because, realism is the best-selling games, of all time, seek realism like that, like GTA. They felt like they had to at the time, I guess, to get that. But it's a shame that Nintendo games were at the time like, "Oh, they're not as advanced because they have these, colorful visuals," and now we look back on those games more fondly. I mean, something like Super Metroid, for example, I still think holds up to this day, um, because it is so moody and great. Obviously, I'm talking about Metroid again. So, but this isn't a Nintendo podcast, and I'm sure that Maverick BT is cursing at the screen that we're talking about Nintendo.
Well, I'm curious because that is one thing I did mean to ask in the top section. That's obviously something we can do on Steam Deck. We can install emulators, we can install things like Prime Hacks. Do we think Microsoft is gonna allow that on the next console? Because, like, I know you can sort of do it now on the Xbox. If you put it into developer mode, you can
Mm.
sideload all of these apps onto it. But, like, would you allow someone to boot into desktop mode and install something like EmuDeck?
Yeah, I wonder if it's gonna be if it's gonna have that just, "Oh, you can just run any EXE at all," or if they're gonna do similar to what Android seems to be doing, which is, "Oh, yeah, you can run any APK as long as it's signed," or let me you need so, like, is it gonna have to be you can't just go on GitHub, download any repository and run it? Are you gonna have to do Microsoft approved apps like you're on a like you're on a console, I guess? Are they still gonna have console controls in a PC environment? Or is it gonna be the Steam Deck where it's
Yeah.
like, it looks like a console, and then if you wanna fuck around with it, you can. Um,
I kind of feel like that's the approach they'll take, which is a shame because I love how open the Steam Deck and SteamOS is.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
same.
But yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in for another episode of Steam Deck Podcast with a very special thank you for our Patreon producers for the month of October. They are, of course, Arnold J. Rimmer, Christopher Valens, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, aka Sobi, Steve Stompy, Susan Still Lights Cats, and also Boobies Voodoo Vic, That One Kid, Nick, Tyler Dude, and Wackahula. Remember, let us know what you thought about this week's show. Do you think that Valve should get into the console space and compete against Microsoft? Do you think Microsoft is even going to make a PC, or are they just going to continue to pump out these boxes that only run Xbox games? And if you've played click holding, let us know if it was a sexual experience for you like it was for
Yeah.
Max down in the comments.
No. Yeah, okay.
Um, you can also head over to our website, flipscreen.games. You can find us everywhere we are on the web, including our Discord. You can join us over there and keep the conversation rolling. And if you're on YouTube, please remember to give this episode a like, share it with a friend, and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode. And if you're an audio listener, please take a second to leave a 5-star review or a comment on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. It really helps get the show circulated. And for the crew, I've been Steve. That's been Max. And we shall
No,
see.
I'm over there.
That's been Max. Oh,
There you go.
I knew that. See, I was just faking. We'll see you next week.
Bye.